Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Robert. I'm William's dad, and I have a special little boy. And special little boys need and girls need special toys to play with, and they're kind of hard to come by. So after searching around and trying to find things, I just decided to start doing it myself. So I've learned a few things about Switch toys for special needs kids in general. My wife being a special education teacher, I learn every time I do something. I learn what we really need to make it work. So I can go over a few things. Well, before I do that, I want to thank a few people who have basically, I guess, inspired me to make some of these videos. One being John Turnquist at St. Ambrose University. He recently retired. He was the instructor at the occupational therapy lab, and that's a lab where there's a whole room full of occupational therapist students who are learning how to do exactly what we're about to do right now. And then one inspiration would be Mark Crilly. He's an artist, and I guess of all the YouTube videos that I have seen in my entire life, I enjoy his more than anybody else's. He is just spectacular. Yeah, you should look up Mark Crilly. He's an artist, and I could watch him do his hyperrealism sketches and drawings, paintings, all at the same time. I could watch him constantly. And then Pappy over at Pappy's Corner. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for him, because I work close to him, and we work in a cubicle farm together. And when he's talking about making his videos, I learn a lot from what he says. So with that, I'll go into a little introduction on what we're actually talking about here, and that is Switch toys for special needs kids. And I've got some examples here of, well, this is a Switch right here in my hand that the occupational therapist brought over from St. Ambrose University. And it's really simple. It's just a piece of plexiglass with a picture on it, and it has a little micro switch hot glued onto the back of it, so that when you sit it down on a hard surface, you plug this into your and you plug this mono jack into your Switch toy, and that's what activates it. And it doesn't have to be a toy. I mean, if we're talking about adults with special needs, this can work for adapting a mouse for a mouse click. It can work for any number of things. But the reason I'm here is that if you buy a production Switch, they're $40 through the healthcare system, and so that's just ridiculous. It's nothing more than a switch and a way to make it click. These switches right here, I bought 28 of them from a Radio Shack going out of business for less than $10. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packs of 4. And I know I didn't pay more than $10 for those 6 packs. So these switches are really easy, cheap and easy to work. Now this one, since William doesn't sit at a desk or anything like that, it really didn't work that well for us initially. But then, previous to that time, I had been walking through the grocery store, and I noticed that they had these cutting boards for like $1.99 a piece, hanging on a shelf on the outside of a display. And for some reason I said, I need to buy a couple of those. Just for nothing else, that it is a very convenient piece of plastic just to have around. And so whenever we needed to make this work for William, who spends a lot of time laying on the floor, I said, well, let's see. You take this right here, you take that right there, and you take a piece of clear tape like this, and now we have a switch that we're going to use. We'll actually use this later on to test the changes the adaptations I want to put on this toy that I'm about to start on. So these switches here are super easy, super neat, and they work well. You can get production switches which are a little they look more like this. This is not a production switch. This is something I bought off Amazon the other day, and I like it, but I'm going to do a whole video on this later on, so we'll get back to that one. But that's the switches. So now you need toys to go on the switches, right? Well, I'm walking through Walgreens and I see these little single action toys. I love this toy. I saw it on the shelf and I said, that's a perfect toy to adapt for William, because first, it's got some action to it. It actually does something. It was great. He loves this. Is one of his favorite ones. And but secondly, it's a single action toy. It only does one thing. You squeeze the trigger and that's it. So it's super simple, and I can't remember if I bought a couple of these or not. If I can find some more on the shelf, I'll pick some up, and I'll do a video on how to change this one around. But I just put a mono port in the back of it right here and connected it to the switch, and then you plug it in like this. And when you push you push the button, that's how switch toys work. So this is one of the simple ones that I've done, and I've got two or three. I've got a jigsaw and a chainsaw, and I have a drill I haven't done yet. So I can do the drill for a video. That'll be a good video. I spent a lot of time walking through Walmart late at night, and I picked up this one. This is one of my favorite ones. There's not enough room on the desk here for me to hit the button and let it go, because it takes about 3 feet or 2 feet to make it a complete circle. But when I first saw this, again, you had one button, one action, and that's what makes it work. So all you have to do is bridge that button with the switch, and I put a mono port right here in the top. And so this one needed a little more. This one needed a little more development, because you had to make sure that it didn't get caught in the cord, and you have to have a right angle mono jack on the top of it. And then it also, when it came out of the box, when you hit the button, it says, "It's time to be a hero." The wheels kick off and it shoots across the floor. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but as far as parents go, that's not really much you can work with, because every time it goes across the floor, you have to pick it up and bring it back over to play with. So it really involves you. I like to give William the opportunity just to play by himself sometimes. I mean, I'm sure that it's good for him to just play by himself and have the opportunity to do things for himself and make him feel more self-sustained. So I bought another one of these and one of its sister parts, so I can do a video on how I modified this so that it drives in a circle. You can see the other video. Check out my other videos on my page. I have a video of this after I finished it, and I'll make a better one that shows how this actually works whenever you hit the button. But like I said, there's not enough room to set it off right here. But my most recent adaptive toy that I did for a little girl, beautiful little girl out of Mississippi. She's a great friend of ours. Her family, they have the similar situation that we do, and we help each other out a lot. And my wife says, I want to get a birthday present for her, and so she sent me to Walmart, and I came back with this little Peppa Pig, and I just, I really fell in love with it on the shelf. It is a squeezy toy, and well, first and foremost, let me go over some of my pet peeves about adaptive toys that are available on the market that you can buy on eBay or whatnot, or even that the occupational therapists will bring to the house for kids to play with, or something like that. And sometimes, and I have noticed it on eBay, there's stuff that's for sale there that it says it doesn't work with a regular Switch anymore. It only works with a Switch toy. I mean, with an adaptive Switch. Well, that's great. That's just another way to do it. But toys are for kids to play with, and if a toy is broken so that one kid can play with it, well, it's broken for all the other kids. So I I really feel that it should function in both realms. Siblings should be able to pick it up and play with it too. It just needs to have a switch plugged in it for its intended. There's that. I like to keep the original packaging and put everything back the way it was. Do all that kind of stuff, and it's just got to be functional. I like things to function. So clean and neat would be the best way to do things for me. So with that, let's get this shipping package off of here. We have shipped off the prototype that I did for the little girl. We shipped it off already. She got it. She loves it. Her sister loves it. That's what I'm talking about. They both can play with it. And so let's open this up, and we'll get started on getting Peppa so anybody can play with her. Now when I saw this on the shelf, let's see, there she goes. It has a chest sensor in it. It's just a little button, and that's what sets it off. Now, I remember correctly about the last one I opened. Let's get the box out of the way. First and foremost, we'll just get this tape there and that tape there. And then we'll do this tape here and this tape here. Let's see, I don't recall. Oh yeah, those two right there. Alright. And then we'll get that tape right there and that tape right there. Now then, from that, everything just rolls out. And it's always good, even these videos are good, to take a few pictures as you're going through to make sure that you remember how to put it back together, if you're looking for that. I mean, I like to let William open things or open things for him, and it just makes me feel better, because I remember how it was when I was a kid, opening up presents or opening up toys, and that's just part of the fun. I've got some zip ties to put back in here, so we can cut that one. Sometimes I just stick a little insert in there and pull it out, but we'll do this one like this. And then we also had a couple of little now the last one I did, I just didn't have the heart to put these little pokey things back through the legs to hold them in place, so we just let those fly. But aside from that, alright, now we have
more hugs, please.
every phrase for this has the word hug in it, and I think that's why it was so great for this situation when you have a little one who's immobile. This is love.
The best hug ever.
Yep. So this is pretty good. Now, in the back here, if you open it up, the place where you put the batteries in, you'll find that in here, and you'll find the voice box. And it's just kind of tied in there, and it's just like anything else when you gotta change the batteries. This is how you change the batteries, just like this. All right. Well, I don't want to get Peppa dirty, so I'm actually going to cut this loose right there.
A hug will be lovely.
Oh yeah, a hug would be lovely. Alright, so we'll set Peppa over here where it's nice and clean. And then we'll get to the box itself. And you see here's the button.
Everybody loves hugs.
Alright, so first off we'll turn it off just so we don't accidentally short anything out. And then we will take the batteries out. It's always the best thing to do. Alright. And it's got 3 cheap batteries in it. I usually just pitch them. They're intentionally not good batteries because they're only there to function for display on the store shelf. You know, you can hang on to them if you got something, you know, some emergency batteries for when the remote for the TV dies or whatever. But I'm not a fan of them myself. But on the flip side, we can open up this box here and we can get to the business of how Peppa works. And I have already taken this apart once, so I know that's the biggest thing. You want to go slow when you're taking something apart, especially for the first time, because it's always a trick sometimes figuring out how things come apart. But since I know that the speaker wires are on very short wires, I'm gonna dump this out over here to get these screws out of the way. Yep. The screws fall. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Get my screw ring here. Put those in there. Fat fingers and small screws. That's the way it usually goes. All right. So now then, this is the switch contact for the switch pattern, which is right. Let's see if we can get it up here where it's in focus. All right, right there. So if you look right there, you'll see this is the switch contact area. And it looks, I don't know if anybody's ever taken a calculator apart, but every button underneath the calculator has one of those little patterns in it. And so that's actually a maze of contact wire that goes together, and this is the button. And the button goes on the top, and when you press it, it makes the contact. So the chore here is to solder 2 leads on and not bridge it. That's the hard part. And so I'll go ahead and break this into 2 sections, and then we'll get started on soldering this thing together.